that's why, after Kelly Clarkson, Reliant K does have the best Christmas album of all time.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I love that, like the ode to the Beach Boys at the end there too.
Yeah,
It's
I
good
think that it
stuff.
really is. Oh, hey everybody! Hi, hello, welcome to welcome to Adobe Live. We're here with our friend Jeremy Slagle. Hi, Jeremy. Say hi.
Hey, Andrew.
It's good
Thanks
to
everyone for
see,
joining.
yeah, some familiar faces in chat. We've got Colby, Sophia, Shauna. We love Shauna. Hi, Shauna. Voodoo Val, who's coming up a little bit later today. Tunk, hello. And a lot of people are saying, there are a couple people saying that this is their first time with Jeremy. This is Jeremy's first time on the stream. Are you excited, Jeremy?
It is. I'm super stoked.
Yes, it's gonna be so much fun. Man, we got literally like 45 seconds before I sang. I'm sorry for that, everyone. So yes, we're here with Jeremy Slagle. Jeremy, I'm gonna have you introduce yourself. I'm gonna put you up full screen so that we can see your information, where people can follow you, all that fun stuff. And take it away. Let people know about you.
Cool. Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, I'm Jeremy Slagle. I'm a graphic designer and I do a lot of illustration work, mostly brand identity work, and then obviously extend that into packaging, which is what we're going to talk about today. Based in Columbus, Ohio. Go Bucks. And just really looking forward to hanging out with you guys today.
Awesome. So you can follow Jeremy at all these links right above my head. Floating here, Jeremy is chasing after a bicycle over there. That's an illustration that you did, right? Right above you?
Yep.
Yep, so that's a little bit of Jeremy's work. We're going to get more familiar with his work as we go through today. But before we get there, I have a couple announcements and things that I'd love to tell you about how you can engage with the Adobe community. So the first one, Jeremy, if you want to help me out with this, is if you want to join our Discord. Discord's a place where you can get into community, you can get feedback on projects, and you can also connect with other designers. You can go to this link right up here. Oh, no, I hit the wrong button. Dang it, I did it all. I always do it. There we go. This link right up here, bit.ly/AI Discord. AI is uppercase. Oh boy, there's a Bucks versus Wolverines going on in the
Hey,
chat
I'm
already.
originally from Detroit, so
Okay.
I can play both sides of that.
I can too. My family is originally from Michigan, and so I grew up a Wolverine. But then I also really love Ohio, so I'm like, why not? Like we can do both. I also went from Sacramento to LA, so I made the Kings to Lakers transition. So that's what you got to do sometimes. Hey, Doc's in the chat. Cool. So you can join Discord here, and I'm going to pop over and show you what's happening in Discord. This is where our daily creative challenges are happening. There is some stuff happening over. Dang it. That way that we'll be reviewing at the end of the stream. So if you haven't already, you can hop over to right here, go to behance.net/challenge/illustrator, and I believe that these challenges are, yeah, we're in week 2 of these challenges, so you can catch up on all the challenges. Today we're going to be talking about illustrated characters and custom landscapes. So go check those out if you haven't. And yes, Sacramento represent. All right, cool. So there's a couple more things that I want to tell you about. Hold with me. We're going to do this. It's going to be great. So there's a survey that the mods are posting in chat for the daily creative challenges. If you want to fill that out, that would be great. And something that will be great for you is if you've heard of the creative residency. Adobe does a creative residency. That creative residency is a little different this year. They have opened it up to the creative residency and a community fund. They have put aside a ton of money for creatives to chase their dream projects and for you to be able to work on projects with Adobe and get some funds to help in these times. So you can check that out by looking for the community fund or looking for the creative residency for Adobe. You can apply there on the site and find out all about the eligibility. So make sure you go check that out. Make sure that you apply because it's a really great resource for creatives to both get involved with Adobe, hopefully make a little money, and kind of just share the creative spirit, which is really great. Oh, our friend Dylan's in here. Hello, Dylan, screaming in his office. All right, Jeremy, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about what we'll be working on the next 2 days, and then we can hop on in?
Sure. Yeah. I'm in the middle of a project right now, and this is perfect timing. Did this branding for a really interesting and unique brand, kind of rounding out the end of last year and into the beginning of this year. And we're kind of at the packaging exploration point of it. So what we're going to talk about a little bit is the logo and brand identity and how we got to the logo that we came up with. a little bit about the logo and brand, and then, but we're going to spend most of our time on packaging, and we're going to talk about how to package a pouch, like a plastic sealable pouch that has a gusset at the bottom that stands. We're going to talk about that today, and then tomorrow we're going to switch to another one of their products, and it's going to be in a corrugated box, and we're going to talk about how to do create within a template of a corrugated box template.
Cool. And we're not just doing this as something that is metaphorical, like Jeremy said. It is an actual client, and we have actual, right? You've built the actual packaging that we can look at and see not just how it looks digitally with the die cuts. We can really be like, oh, this is the actual substrate that we will be printing on, the way that it will kind of go back and forth.
Yep.
All right, so let's go ahead and hop right in, Jeremy.
Awesome. So yeah, so basically got a call back in like November, December, and actually I got an email, and when I read it, I thought, this can't be right. But basically apparently it's a thing. There's a company called the Parrot University. They're based here in Central Ohio, and they make a product called the Aviator Bird Harness, and it's a harness for pet birds. So if you've got a parrot or a cockatoo, or whatever, small birds, big birds, they make them for just about any size. You can actually take your bird out on a walk with you, and it connects to like a leash and allows them to fly and be free and like enjoy some flapping their wings and doing what birds do. So really cool client. I was a little like confused about what it was they did at first, and then after getting the chance to meet the owner and just seeing her passion for it, it's been a really, really fun project. So like I said, we started with branding the logo, or doing the logo and brand identity work. But whenever I do a project like this, we always start with words first. So this is the brand story, and me to go ahead and walk you through this a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead and take it away. I'm actually going to move real quick because my audio is coming in a little weird, so I'm going to turn off this fan and see if it helps. So take it away, Jeremy. I'll be back in just a second.
No problem. Sounds good. So like I said, I always start with story on all of my projects. So really helps not only the client, not only us to kind of understand more about them, but it also helps the client to really be able to hone their message with us. So we're not trying to say everything about them. So I'm sure that if you guys want to be able to kind of go back through and read all of this, you can watch the replay and pause it. But I want to give you a bit of an overview of kind of what we go through at the beginning of a project like this. So I worked with my friend Laura Reese, who's an amazing writer here in Columbus, Ohio, and she helped write a lot of this content. So we start with what the brand audiences are. In this situation, it's bird owners, specialty buyers like zoos and trainers, and pet stores and pet suppliers that resell products. Key brand messages, these are kind of like the what we offer attributes, and then the benefits, what you get. So it's a safe way to get your bird out of a cage, and the benefit is you and your bird get to experience more things together, a closer relationship with your bird. Not being a bird owner, but being a pet owner, I have a dog. A lot of times birds will grow up in a family and they'll literally live in a cage for their entire lives. And so this company is super passionate about like being able to get that bird out of a cage and really allow it to kind of do the things that it was made to do. So
when you go into a process like this, is it daunting for you to go into something that is so out there and like different? Or are you just like, cool, it's another client, I'm just going to approach this as I approach it?
No, I love it. I think one of the things I love about being a designer is being able to just experience all these different things. Like growing up, I was always into field trips. And I think what I liked about going to field trips was that like you got to see behind the scenes and experience, where someone else is coming from. And so that's what I love about this. It doesn't matter to me whether I'm doing a college or, retail or whatever it happens to be. Just the opportunity to kind of put yourself in the seat of the client is really fun. So this one is especially fun. It's just such an unusual product.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, key features and benefits, this is, you could go on and on about this, but this is the stuff that we really, really want people to understand. And the reason I'm showing you this is you're going to see a lot of this stuff come back as we go customer facing with some of their packaging. So this kind of goes into their personality, inspirational and warm, committed and supportive, thoughtful and intentional, expert, passionate. And then just some taglines we'd like to throw out there to the client at this point, just to kind of test them a little bit and see if they resonate. And then we go into kind of writing their story. Like I said, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time here, but it kind of gives you an idea of the depth that we go into working with these folks.
Yeah, and it's more than just doing the packaging and being like, cool, let's throw like a package together. It's really understanding the entirety of how will this work? What is the message we're trying to communicate? And because you built the branding as well as going into applying that to the packaging, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so we kind of come up with this idea of a flight system. They have multiple products that also work with this harness. So we're really trying to kind of repackage it as a system. So like if you buy the harness, then you'll want to buy the flight line and the perch and all these other things that go along with the flight line that you can work together. So helping people understand that it all is designed to work together. So this idea of a flight system.
Yep.
So this is really great stuff. And then one of my favorite meetings whenever I'm starting a new project, especially when it's retail, is we do field trip meetings. So if I'm working on like a food brand, we'll go and hang out like half a day at Whole Foods, and we just walk the aisles and look at packaging. And I get a ton from just watching a client like pull a bag or a box off the shelf, and like the way they look at it or the way they feel it. Oh, I like this finish, or I like the way those colors are. So this is stuff that I collected. Some of these are photos that I took while we were there. Some of this is swipe that I've pulled. And then these tags on here are actually comments by the client in their response to these different pieces. So, I like throwing a lot of different things out there. So, this is like super, super modern and clean. And the feedback I'm getting is maybe it's a little too plain, a little bit too, doesn't seem very memorable.
Yep,
right?
Sorry, I was making that face because you went to the slide and my face was perfectly framed by the dog ears, and I just suddenly turned into a puppy.
I love it. So yeah, and whereas one of the things we found out is, while this is a little too plain, this is too quirky. So This is the process we go through a lot with them to just kind of gauge, what's resonating, what do they feel is their brand voice visually. So here they like this. This has got colors that feel like REI or Eddie Bauer in a good way. Like part of their story is we want to get out. We want people to get out of their house, take their bird with them and explore. So this does resonate well with the story as well. So this Spot Farms, they loved the little round icons that they're using, and they like the window so you can see the product through the front. And actually these are very similar to the types of pouches that we're going to be using to do their harness in. This is basically the best of what's happening in the bird world right now. They asked me to include this stuff in there. They wanted us to consider other bird brands, so you can kind of see what's going on with some of the conservation networking and other organizations. And then I pulled some stuff that I really love and I think could work as far as the voice and the feel. So here's a bunch of stuff by Target, which is just awesome. And then just kind of wanted to gauge their thoughts as far as how they visualize their logo, what they like, what they don't like. So this is kind of like birds. These are aviation logos. You'll see why. It's called Aviator. So thought maybe we could do something that had a little bit of that vintage aviation sort of feel to it. Badges, which they really resonated with.
Love a good badge.
Yeah, this is like an outdoor adventure brand. So here we put some more like stuff that kind of has more of a similar feel together on the same page. Peak Design, great quality product, and just very outdoorsy but modern and doesn't look too like Eddie Bauer. Hydro Flask. So this kind of gives you some like, are you more this or are you more this? And then getting their feedback and kind of getting into their head. So after we collect all that information from them, this is kind of where I compile everything. So, they really love this Akana because it's bold, earthy, and warm. They really resonated with the simple and modern style logos. They like the multi-component where you could get a logo and a badge and different orientations of the logos. They like custom type. They kind of like something that has a little bit of a familiarity or like a retro feel to it. Limited colors, icons, and windows on packaging, and then that heroic and adventurous sort of feel to it. So this kind of sums up the direction we went with visually as far as kind of what we wanted to do.
Yeah, and I love having both like the brand attributes that you're going to talk about in a second, but also having like the visual attributes. Like here are the elements that you like, so we can sign off on that, agree that this is like the zone you want to exist in, and then you can move into applying that. So it isn't just like the client's like, I think that we're going to like it. I don't know. That's like, nope, we like all these things. I'm going to use those things.
Yep. And like I said, you'll see all of this stuff play out in the packaging that we're working on. So brand attributes: friendly, memorable, modern, active, high quality, smart, accessible, outdoorsy, adventurous, natural, heritage, trusted, and authentic. They have been around for a long time, and their product, if you just go on like Instagram or wherever and just Google or just go on and Google aviator flight harness, you're just going to find it all over the place.
Yep.
So pulling some colors that kind of have that feel together, kind of running that past them, saying this is kind of what I'm thinking. It's got that outdoorsy, vintage sort of feel to it.
Yep. I would wear this as a sweater, 100%.
There you go.
Yep.
Absolutely. So came back after that, compiled feedback, and presented some concepts. So at this point, I go into sketching mode, and I can kind of give you an idea of where that ended up.
Yeah, and real quick, sorry, before you hop in there, if you are watching this on YouTube, we love that you're there, but like you're standing outside the party looking in. Come join us in the party on Behance, behance.net/live, and you can join our chat. There's all kinds of cool people in this chat. Doc Reed's here, Dylan Menges is here, Kashal Miandrakar is here. I tried on that last name. So if you're watching on YouTube, leave there and come to behance.net/live, click through in the chat, and let me know in the chat that you're coming from YouTube so we can say hello to you, as well as chat. If you have questions for Jeremy as we move through this, toss them into chat. I'll be taking note of them, and then as we work, I'll be asking them to Jeremy. So Jeremy, yes, let's hop into sketches. Show us a little bit about your process.
Yeah, so I don't know if I can show you this real quick, but this is kind of what they came to us with to kind of show you the before. This is their existing packaging that they were working with. This is what the harness actually came in. It's kind of like a plasticky DVD shaped sort of box. And then they also have the two pieces we're going to talk about this week are the harness piece that would go in this. And then this is also called a flight line. And basically this thing looks super dangerous. You would not want to throw this at anybody.
Yep. It feels dangerous to ship.
It is very dangerous to ship. This is actually what it looks like when it is not shipped, and it has these spiky, pointy things on the end.
I feel attacked.
Yes, and they don't ship well in a bag. There's all sorts of issues that they came to us with. Like, this is a major problem because, when we have to wrap this in like 3 rolls of bubble wrap before we put it in a bag or in a shipper, because otherwise it shows up and this is punched through one side and this is punched through another side.
Yep. What's the point in having packaging if it's gonna rip and break the packaging?
That's right.
And yes, a lot of people are saying, so it does have blue because it is a sky on there, and so it is keying out. It's not translucent.
Oh, yes.
It is just keying out the blue on that. So if you guys see that, it's just keying out the blue.
Yeah, and actually there's on my screen in Illustrator, I have a close-up of the front cover of that. But a lot of times, especially for a brand that's been around as long as these guys have been, I
was pointing at the cover and then making a face to the current situation with the cover.
Okay, yes. So this is what they currently are shipping their harness in. And a lot of times I love doing, when I do multiple logo concepts, I like doing, and I usually will throw this out in an early meeting and say, like, if I get a sense that they kind of like the heritage of the brand a little bit, that maybe one of the 3 options shouldn't completely discard all the history that they've had with the brand up until now. So the concept they actually ended up going with was one that is kind of an evolution of this, and it's this bird, this parrot kind of wearing an old vintage flight cap, pilot cap and goggles. So I went through and did a lot of my sketching. I do a lot of my sketching like right in my Moleskine journal. And just to show you, like, a lot of the stuff I do isn't super refined at this point. I'm just trying to like get it down as quickly as I possibly can and then move on. And I'll just fill pages and pages and pages and pages of stuff. So I like the idea of the badge. So it's kind of already in that mindset because I knew the client really liked that.
Yep.
I like that idea of the aviator and aviation. And I thought this could be really fun. So like these idea of like a saluting bird, which is, he's not saluting, but
yeah, it feels like the equivalent of like Carl's Jr. and Carl's Sr. That like we had the Carl's Sr. and like this is like the cool Carl's Jr. that's like taking over the company. That's like, I'm ready to fly.
Yes, what you said. And so here's just a few sketches. You'll see these in a bit, but even when it comes to packaging, like I really try to think through, like if the shape of the logo is going to be something like this, then I would like to have some of the elements of the packaging kind of follow it as well.
Yep.
So kind of this one kind of had a little a diamond sort of shape to it. This one kind of has more like a traditional shield sort of crest. But I really started to like what was happening here on this one. So I also noticed after drawing it that he's saluting with his left hand. So I wanted to switch it so that he was saluting with his right. So
that's cool too, that you think about not necessarily just the illustration of what the thing is or the logo, that it's how does this scale into a system? What shapes can I use? How can I adapt this? And those of you that are doing the Daily Creative Challenge, it was to build an animal using basic shapes. And Jeremy's going to show you now how he does that. And it's really interesting to see that as you do your challenges, watch this again, go back to this and try to apply it.
Yeah, so a lot of times I try to find the more subtle shapes and kind of really embrace those. So this is basically add a stroke to that so you can kind of see where I'm going. So I like the idea of his scarf kind of filling out the other side of the logo. So he's got his wing up on the one side and then we've got this scarf. So I'm going to basically build this into a 6-sided shape. So kind of starting with something like this, and then I will kind of bisect it here and then find my center here. And then after that, it's just a matter of kind of starting to think through like this line here that's kind of going at the same angle as the bottom. Like how do I resolve that? So I'll just kind of draw a line and then I'm gonna click rotate that to 30 degrees.
And so he's doing 30 degrees for those of you who don't realize how much math is in design. 30 degrees of 180, it's a 6-sided shape. So that is one of the sides will be at the 30-degree angle.
Right. So I just like to kind of think through how just the overall view and the basic shapes of how something like this would break down. So just kind of really breaking it down as very simple shapes and thinking through kind of like how I might separate these pieces out vertically. So like I've got kind of a break where the edge of the scarf is, and then I've kind of got another break here where the edge of the helmet and his neck kind of wraps below. And then, so I just kind of set up a little bit of a grid to kind of think through like how I would break this down.
Yep.
And then just the use of simple ovals and shapes to kind of start building it out.
Yeah, and even for those of you that look at something like this, like me, I'm not a great illustrator, and I look at this and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so detailed. It's really cool to see your process and see that it is just simple shapes, that it's a matter of mapping it out and then starting to build and think about things with simple shapes. And even in things like the wing, that it's like, how do you do a cool wing like that? That it's a bunch of rectangles with a rounded corner. Like it's those simple shapes that have been adapted and kind of built on top of each other to create something that's really complex.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is really how I start something like this. And then a lot of times what I'll do is just kind of get my wireframe where I want, kind of get everything situated kind of where I want it to be. And then I'll just select all of this except for, my sketch. And then if you just control, click make guides. So now I've basically got a set of guides, and I'll just kind of move my, my sketch off to the side and then just start working within those guides.
That's really cool that it is the in-between step between the real world and like it's on pen and paper, pencil and paper, and this is the in-between that like it's not quite digital yet, but you have like the roadmap, it's the blueprint to where you're going to take it once you get digital.
Right. Yeah. Yep. And then obviously you have some fun with some like round corner tool to kind of pull these corners in and stuff like that once you get to that point. So, obviously it's just a matter of some of these, as simple as these are, it's really not a big deal to just start rounding some corners, and you can see how quickly, something like this can kind of start to fall into place.
Yep.
So yeah, that's kind of my thought process of how I break something like this down. I'm one of those people that always sees the shapes in things. I think that was just kind of how I was raised to learn how to draw. And so just to kind of give you an idea of sort of what this ends up looking like, this is, you'll notice here, this is that circle. It's the half of that circle right here as the top of the helmet. These are just basically just ovals making up the goggles. So it's not super, super complex. It's just the way that things are layered and stacked to kind of get to where they are. And then the other thing I did after I kind of got to this point, I like to kind of make this look a little bit less perfect and a little more almost like weathered. And I don't necessarily mean weathered, but it's almost like if you've ever seen a logo that's been photocopied a million times and then blown up.
Yes.
There's no sharp points on it anymore. So I kind of go through and just round these corners a little bit, just to kind of soften it up a little bit, give it a little bit more of a softer feel to the whole thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I do the same thing in Photoshop, that I finish something and I'll blur it by like 0.5 just because it looks too crisp and you want it to have like just a little bit wrong.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I get started. I kind of happened upon this, but I like the idea of the way the scarf kind of breaks the top of this a little bit. Just it was a little bit too stuffy when it went straight across and there wasn't enough energy. So that kind of makes it almost look like that scarf is flapping in the wind and kind of almost blowing out of the shield a little bit. It gives a little bit of dimension.
How did you go into the outlines mode? People are asking in chat, what's the outline mode hotkey?
Command Y.
Command Y will show you all your outlines, show you all the lines. This is actually really great to do if you download stock resources and you're wondering how they built it. You can hit Command Y and you can see all those shapes and then kind of unpack it and then try again to make it your way by seeing that.
Yeah, and here's another little fun tip if you're not aware of how this works, but like you can build, if you use the Pathfinder tool, this is his eye, for instance. I'm just going to copy his eye over here for a second. So if you don't like having all these shapes sitting out here like this, what you can actually do is select these two.
Command 8.
I may have actually already done it.
Compound path?
So nope. You can go into Pathfinder, and so I'm going to release these. So what a lot of people don't realize is that you can actually take, obviously you can just do this and cut something out and you create a new shape, right? With Pathfinder, right? The other thing you can do that I do a lot more often than that is I will actually select both of these and hold the Option key down and hit it. And what it does is it leaves these all live. So let's see here, I'm gonna bring to the front and I'm gonna select these and then I'm gonna hit Option. So,
oh, that's right. You show me this and it's totally mind-blowing.
Yeah, so this is actually, it's basically as if I did the Pathfinder tool, but these are still live, which means I can just go in here and if I want to move that highlight, I can double click, theoretically.
That's cool. It's like the equivalent of clipping masks and opacity masks and Pathfinder, but everything stays live, that you can go in and edit it, you can move things, you can tweak stuff. That's really cool.
Yeah, so this is still, it's hard to see because there isn't a color behind it, but basically all of these are still live pieces and parts. And you can do this with any one of the combine, knockout, like all of those within the Pathfinder, which is a really great thing. So then when you're done and you've got it where you want it, you just hit expand and it does the expand.
That's awesome. It's crazy how long you can work in design and then see stuff like this and be like a fundamental tool is being used in a way that I never imagined or didn't know about that could change my process completely.
Yeah, so just next time you use it, just hold the Option key down whenever you do any of the Pathfinders, and it will keep both objects live, and it will do whatever you're asking Pathfinder to do. And you can scale, move, tweak, get it where you want it, and then expand it, which is really nice. Or never expand it at all if you don't want to.
Chat's losing their mind about that. Yes, it is absolutely mind-blowing, and that's why you should watch these streams every day, 8 to 3. There is always content with people to learn new tips and tricks.
Yeah, so basically, I remember when I saw that, I think I accidentally did. Oh, and another thing, every once in a while, you'll see that if you put two objects on top of each other, Illustrator will say like, you can't do that. And it's like, yes, I can do that. And it'll say, no, you can't do that. If you hold the Option key down and do it again, it'll do it sometimes. So I've found that even sometimes when you get like you can't do that, try it with the Option key and it will actually let you do it, which is, I don't know why, but it does.
That's funny. That's like the equivalent of a kid being like, can I play video games? You're like, no. And it's like, but can I? And you're like, okay.
Right. Exactly. Yes. No, I want you to do this. So therefore I will Option click you and it will happen. So, so as we kind of looked at the earlier stuff I showed you, like that idea of multi-component, having badge options, having different variations for the logo, we kind of created this package for them. So there's just the basic logo. And then I also have one where I've done an outline. Part of the reason I'm doing an outline on this is I don't want to do a reverse version. If you do a reverse version of a character, they end up looking like a photo negative and it looks like something out of a nightmare. So I avoid doing, anytime I show a character, a person, a mascot, you don't ever just create a reversed out version of it. It's kind of scary. So in this situation, like when it's on a dark background, I've created one where it's just got the white shield shape behind it. And then I've also got one that can sit with the outlines on it. So this is kind of a more formal crest version of it. And then a couple that are like just type lockups as well. And then every logo has to be able to work in one color. So this is kind of the one color versions of those as well.
That's awesome. So you're taking into account all of the things, and this is built completely out of basic shapes, as you saw. Is that something that you do a lot in your work, Jeremy, is you use basic shapes to kind of like build stuff?
Yes. Yep.
Absolutely.
I grew up with Ed Emberley books. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look at Ed Emberley books. If you have kids at home that are interested in art, go to your library and buy everything Ed Emberley has, because it's completely teaches kids how to draw with simple lines and shapes, and it's a really great. Like I credit a lot of my illustration work and style to what I learned from his books when I was younger.
Yep, so. That's funny. Someone in chat said it's like the equivalent of go ask your father or go ask your mother. So you build a lot of these, and talking about children's books, you have children's books. This is a thing, right, that you have done? Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about Happy Cargo Books? I have it up on the screen so that people can see some of your work, and talk a little bit about the approach you have using those simple shapes to create these characters, and also about like, what is this?
Yeah. So Beth Stafford is a friend of mine. Some of you may have heard of her, or you may know her husband, Ben Stafford, who's an amazing illustrator. Really good friends of mine. They live in Ohio as well. Beth had a great book concept, and illustration needed to be done, and so she contacted me and had an opportunity to work with her on a book called Chin Up Chinchilla, and we put it on Kickstarter about 2 years ago, and it got funded in like 5 days, which was totally mind-blowing, because we thought we were gonna have to like pitch in a ton of money at the end of it to get it across the finish line. And then it's a book about empathy, It's about like engaging people when they're sad, and it's really great for kids to kind of think about, like, when I see someone and they look like they're sad, how do I approach them and how do I encourage them? And then just this year during the COVID crisis, we were running another Kickstarter, probably the worst possible time to run a Kickstarter campaign, but we got fully funded, which was really exciting. And it was, the book is called Hip Hooray Hippo, and it got fully funded. It is now in print. We just approved the proofs about 2 weeks ago. And so we're super stoked about it. And
Cool,
I use a lot of real simple shapes in all of that. I tried to be a lot more organic with that one, where they're more like bean shapes and a little bit softer shapes, because they're these kind of like fuzzy animals, versus something that looks a little more corporate like this. But that's the thing that's great about working with shapes. You can do like super, rigid type shapes, and it gives more of a corporate brand identity sort of feel to it. If you use real soft shapes, you can get some nice illustrated feel out of it with a little more emotion. So.
Yep, absolutely. So, and you have a great resource that you showed how to build those simple shapes with sketches, and walked people through how to draw the hip hooray. I think we did the chin up chinchilla, right? Over at CanceledCon. So if you guys want to see how to sketch your own version of the chin up chinchilla, you can check that out. Just look for CanceledCon on YouTube, and there's a great tutorial by Jeremy.
That was fun.
So Jeremy, let's hop in and see how this applies to pack. Actually, before we get there, I have a question. When you're pitching this, right, that this is the logo that we went with, were there other options they didn't go with that you like pitched? You're like, this could be cool, and they're like, no.
Funny you should ask. Yes. Let me see if I can find that puppy.
In chat again, if you have questions, just let me know. Drop them in chat, and we'll get those to Jeremy.
Yeah. So basically, this is kind of a deck that I use to present these, and so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take those like words that we agreed to earlier that support the concept, and I'll highlight the ones that seem to be, while all of these are relevant, these are the ones that are most relevant to this concept. So this is the one I just showed you, and kind of show the different layout options for it. And then I always put stuff in application studies, because a lot of times it's hard for clients, it's hard for me to see a logo outside of context and really be able to give it a good look and see if it's going to hold up. Where did we go? Hold on. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Disappeared. Okay, yeah. So just like applying it to different photo mockups, which we'll hopefully get to today or tomorrow on how to do simple photo mockups, kind of showing what it might look like in stationery.
And like Jeremy said earlier, it's not just about when he's building that logo, he's also looking at the elements of like the chevron and little design elements that he can put into other things, which is really cool.
Yeah, like keeping that 30-degree, that point that runs here, and then kind of working it in as like you said, the chevrons. It kind of gives it a little bit of that military sort of feel to it that kind of adds to the idea of like an aviation sort of vibe to the whole thing.
Yep.
And then the other concept was like a script, the flying script, which we presented as well.
Oh,
there was another one as well, but this is kind of the two that I'm showing you guys. Once again, like the simplicity of just being able to do just the logo by itself with like a badge, and then just showing some different lockups as well.
Yep. Sorry, there's one floating near me. I was showcasing Vanna White for you. So this, like building all this out and then having the client be like, yeah, that's not it. Is that a hard process for you? I think there's a lot of designers that love to hear that side, that it's like, what do you do when the client says no? Do you just move on? Or like, what does that process of moving on look like for you?
Well, you know that whenever you're showing 3 concepts to somebody, that they're gonna probably not, the goal is that by the time you've gone through the process where you've written their story, you've gotten to know them, you've put together the mood boards, you've met with them 3 or 4 times, you've gone out and done a field trip meeting with them, you know them well enough to know that whatever you're going to show them is going to, at least one of them is going to resonate. The best situation is when they see the first concept and they're like, ooh, and then they see the next one and they're like, ooh.
Yep.
And the best the best situation is when they're like, I would go with any one of these, but this one's my favorite.
Yeah.
I think it is hard because I put a lot of time and energy into creating these different these mock-ups and these presentations and the logos, and you know, 2 of the 3 have to die, and it's kind of a bummer, but you kind of hope that whatever you put together, and that's why it's so important to make sure that whatever you present is something you're going to be willing to work with and love, because you've got a lot more work to do once this phase is over, packaging and website and everything else that needs to go along as far as application.
Yep.
So
speaking of that more work, do we want to hop in and start looking at kind of the packaging applications and get into that? We got about an hour until we start reviewing those challenge submissions. So if you have not, again, Jeremy, if you can help me out here, go to this link, bit.ly/AI Discord. That's where you can find out about the daily challenges. I like that you looked. That's where you can find out about daily challenges.
It's
get
right
involved. There. It is right there. It's hanging above your head. You can get involved there, and this is what it looks like in there. You can drop your projects into the challenge thread, and we'll be reviewing those in about an hour. Come back and check in. So, all right, Jeremy, take it away. Let's make some stuff and do some packaging.
Great. So going back to what I talked about earlier as far as doing thumbnail sketches, I always start with real basic, simple thumbnail sketches. This is kind of where we're going to go today with this. Like I said, I think these are probably like an inch or 2 wide by, an inch or 2 wide. And the goal is just to kind of make sure that we're on the same page. A lot of times I'll sketch these right out with the client to make sure that we're on the same page as far as what needs to go where. You'll see that this has the window that they love, because one of the things is we're creating a pouch that actually is going to be used for like 7 different colors. It's going to be used for like 7 different sizes. I think there's like 46 variations of this product, and all of them are going to fit in the same pouch. So thinking through things like logistically, like how do we tag these so that we know what size is in it, and then also include the barcode or the UPC for the retailer to make sure that it's the right one when they scan it for inventory purposes and stuff. So this is basically the pouch that we ended up going with. I think we ended up going with a little bit larger one than this, but we went through standuppouches.net, and they've been really, really great, super responsive. And once you've kind of, what they'll do is you can just put in a request and kind of tell them what you're looking for, and they'll send you a box full of different ones. So you can kind of see different sizes, different materials, kind of see how your different products fit in it. We really want to make sure you can see this through the window. This one has foil on the back, but it's actually going to be clear all around, but we're going to print an opaque white. So the whole thing will be printed with an opaque white ink, except for the window where you'll be able to see the color of the product through it.
Right.
So once you've figured out your size and what you're going to go with, you just let them know what it is, and they'll email you a template, and this is the file they sent me direct from the manufacturer for this. So
yep. And a lot of people, I think, get stuck when they're thinking about packaging. They're like, oh, do I have to like measure everything and like figure it out? If you're working with a manufacturer, 95% of the time they have a template or something to send you that you can work off of. It's not going to be on you to set that up. Usually if you do, it's going to be wrong. And so you want to get it from them because they should have that like on file for you.
Yeah, and tomorrow, the box that we're working on, I actually did a ton of sketches on that and worked to figure out a way to package this crazy thing into something that wouldn't stab people. So that's been really interesting. I love working with box manufacturers, especially ones that that kind of partner with me to do some really fun stuff. Like I love working with these guys because when I showed them this, they looked at it like, what the heck is that thing? And then they took it on as a challenge to do something really cool with it. So, yeah. So, yeah. So basically, this is what I get from the manufacturer. One thing I always recommend, if you can get your client to agree to doing something that's a stock bag, that makes life a lot easier.
Yes.
So this is basically one of their stock bags. It's one that they already have. Saves a ton of money to go this way. And so basically this is their template for the stock bag. So I always make sure that I lock my template so that you don't accidentally, like while you're working, grab something and pull it over here and then wish you hadn't later. So make sure you kind of create your own layer for your template, lock it down. And then I always bring my sketch in. A lot of times I'll actually have my sketch sitting on my desk next to me because I drew it out or something like that. But for the purposes of this, I'm throwing it up here on the screen so you can see it. And then I create basically my art in a layer like this. Oftentimes the templates, when they come from the manufacturer, will have like put your designs here or something here, but I'll just lock these two layers down. So I am going to pull a couple assets in here from that logo stuff I was showing you earlier.
Cool, yeah. So you have everything set up on a little cheat sheet on another screen. If you guys are wondering, like, how is he doing that? It's just on another screen. He's copy and pasting. That's helpful for brands.
Button.
Yeah, the logo button. That's it's a special feature. We can't release it yet, but it's coming.
That's right. It's coming. So I will put things like logo and icons. I know that icons are going to be coming with this as well. And I will basically make like a layer for this. I'm a big fan of layers. I know there's people that hate layers, but I love layers.
That's such a good idea to put all of your random assets on a different layer. So you can just drag and put them wherever. And then when they're set, you just send them to the active layer, right?
Yeah, I just lock it down. So
that's so smart.
So now, like if I'm messing around, and the biggest reason I do that is I'm going to create another one where I'm just going to do like new layer, and I'm going to call this like background shapes.
Oh man, I don't use layers at all in Illustrator, and this is like, I've never really seen the point. I'm like, yeah, you can just like move stuff, and seeing your workflow is like, oh, it's more of an organization workflow thing than it is controlling like where things are, which is so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically I'm going to work on from this layer, which is below my logo and icons layer, and just start adding some shapes in here to kind of mimic what I've got in my mind over on this side. So
yep, and this is what we call a callback. If you're familiar with like comedy or film, we literally did this earlier building the logo, right? You had the same shape that was the 30-degree angle, six-sided shape was kind of the base for the shape of that logo and of the shape of the illustration, and now you're incorporating that same shape so it's familiar, right?
Yes, yep, absolutely. And I don't know why I'm trying to hit the send to back and it's not going to the back, so I'll just do it this way. So wanted to kind of set him below this right here is showing where the Ziploc is on this package. So I want to avoid anything that's going to bump that Ziploc area.
Yep.
So I'll just basically maybe move him here. Can center that there.
And as he tweaks this, for those of you that are new or haven't worked with packaging before, all of these lines that are everywhere are basically, they're called bleed lines or die lines, that it's where the product is going to get cut, or the amount of space that you can print so that it won't get cut off for text and that kind of stuff. And so it's showing the dimensions, but also it's saying, hey, you can print in this space, or don't put anything in this space because it won't print right. So all those pink layers are not on there. Those are just a guide for us to know where to place things.
Yep. So I'm going to kind of, a lot of times I just kind of block things out so that I can see them. So, and I'll just throw some crazy color on it just so that I remember. So I'm just going to make another layer here, and I'm going to call it window.
I feel like hot pink gets such a bad rap for being like the placeholder color, that it's like so cool, and you're like, yeah, it's just a placeholder. And it's like, but pink is so cool. Like, that's such a hot pink. But I do the same thing where I'm like, this is the logo I like, pink box above it.
Yep, exactly. It just kind of draws attention to it. Helps you remember, like, I really shouldn't put anything here because it's not going to show up. This is going to be clear on the box. And so the other thing I will do a lot of times is I'll create like a new layer at the bottom. I'm going to call this opaque white. And this is really, really important when you're when you're doing a clear package that requires white. And so what I'll do is I create a new color, a spot color called opaque white. That's just white, but it's actually a spot color. If you see the little tag in the bottom right hand corner, that means it's a spot color. And what I'll oftentimes do is I'll just give it a little bit of a tint so that I know that it's there.
Yep.
So that I know that it's there. And you can see I had already given my bird logo that opaque. It's really, really important to make sure, because if I hadn't, then this would not show up opaque white. It would just show up as a regular white and therefore be clear all the way through. So that's kind of what I do. The nice thing about doing something like that, doing it that way, is before you show it to the client, you can just double click your opaque white, take it back down to white, and it'll go away.
Yep.
But it's just a great way for you to be able to tell from yourself. I started in t-shirt design. And so a lot of times if you're printing, like for instance, if you're printing white on a t-shirt, you have to specify it as a spot color. You can't just make it white or it just thinks it's paper.
Yep.
So you have to make sure you specify that correctly.
Yep. If someone uses Illustrator without layers, is that okay? Yes, new creative. That's totally okay. That's the great thing about design and creativity. There are no right answers. There are no wrong answers. There are just things that work and things that don't. So if it works for you, if that's your workflow, then go for it. I don't ever use layers, but seeing how Jeremy's using layers, my mind's blown. And I'm like, that's a really great workflow. Maybe I'll incorporate it. Maybe I won't. There's no wrong way though. You don't have to, but you can.
If you know that also, if you're going to, by the way, I didn't use layers for a long time.
Yep.
But the more I've been doing illustration work and the more I do stuff like this, the thing that drives me crazy is you've got all these shapes that I'm building. And if you start clicking around and dragging stuff, you end up accidentally grabbing something back here or grabbing something back here, or you want to be able to select, like once I get the type in here, for instance, if I have this in like a text box here and I want to be able to select it and I go like this, now all of a sudden I'm selecting everything here. All I got to do is lock it all down, have that on a text layer, and then I just select and it works that. So it's really nice. I want this label to be here, but to show kind of how it's going to fit, make sure I'm thinking about like where that's going to have to go. We've already determined that this is going to be a 1 inch by 3 inch label that wraps around the back. So I want to make sure that I'm keeping that in mind.
And what he's doing here when he's going kind of making these shapes bigger than the actual space, that's called going full bleed. And that basically just means that the color is going to go all the way to the edge. And so that space that's over the edge of that little perforated line that shows where it's going to get cut, that will go away and get cut. But by having it over that edge, it's showing you that it's printing all the way to the edge. And the printer just knows that it's going to go all the way off that edge.
That is correct. And it's the reason I let this stuff kind of sit out here is because sometimes as I'm working on this, I may realize, I really would like to kind of push this down a little bit, differently or whatever. But once you've kind of like cut it off, it's kind of hard to manipulate. So I don't mind things kind of floating outside the screen. Before I send it to print, I'll do some, path operation type stuff and get rid of a lot of that. That's, you actually don't have to, but
I'll put everything in a clipping mask that's just the same size to make sure that it's not all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got my text document, and this is, so basically after I've kind of figured out what's going to go where, and we've kind of talked through, like, one of the things that's really, really important on this is that they have a sizing chart on the back.
Okay.
So you know what size to buy for your bird. Otherwise you're like standing in the store going, when there's like 7 or 8 different sizes.
Yep. Just holding your bird, like this one.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So this is the copy that I get from my writer on this after we've kind of gone through and gone back and forth a little bit on it. So what I'll typically do is just copy all of this and just drop it in here on a text layer. I create a new layer, call it text. And then the font that we're using is called Acumen. I like Acumen because it has, like, you can see like super condensed, and then it's got like extended, and it's a really great, super flexible font, and it works. It's really, really easy to read at small sizes. So we're gonna go with Acumen semi-condensed. If I can see it, there's just so many.
That's always the fun thing about the super families like that. You're like, I really like this, and it's like, how about 90 options? And you're like, oh no, which one's the best?
Right, exactly.
Choosing your favorite child.
Right, exactly. So a lot of times I'll go through and just kind of get my base size for that, and kind of, because I know I'm going to use that font for most of the content on it, I'll just throw it out there. And I know that they want to have bird harness because this is the aviator bird harness. The font that we use is Hebden for this. I love this font.
Oh, it's pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It's refined, but like futuristic.
Yeah, it works really well. So the font above is actually called Hebden Incised, and then this is Hebden Grotesque.
That's cool.
So they work. They're built from the same. The same geometry as each other, so they work really well together. And then we want to put the URL in here. We're going to also do this in Hebden. There's an extra space. Actually,
have you ever had like a disastrous thing like that where you like leave a space on something, or like have a typo on something that actually goes to print?
I have not. I have a good friend who worked with one of the Detroit Rescue Mission, was one of his clients, and they actually got it all the way to Billboard before they realized the Billboard company caught that the headline on it said, "Come fill our panties with food."
Oh boy.
Pantries.
Yeah, that's trouble.
Yes, so make sure that and a spell check doesn't catch something like that either.
Exactly, yeah. I once made up a Bible verse. I was doing some work for a church, and we were printing some mugs, and I was like, yeah, I think it says this. Like, I think I got it. And so I like made this really cool badge, and we printed a bunch, and then I was like, this doesn't actually sound right. And so I go back and look, and I'm like, nope, this isn't a thing. I literally just made this up and thought it was close enough, and it was not. And that's been my biggest snafu, is like, well, I literally made up a verse, and that feels really terrible. Yes, you can use Adobe Capture to identify fonts by taking a picture of the letters in the app. It's actually very helpful, and you can do it on the fly. And yes, this is an Adobe font that you're using right now, correct, Jeremy?
Sure.
It is. Sorry. Yes, Doc went ahead and posted a link there, and Voodoo Val linked it for us.
Great.
So yeah, you can grab this and play with it. It's really gorgeous. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's really, really pretty. And then, so basically it's just straight up pulling the copy from the writer and making sure that it all gets put where you've kind of been thinking it through as far as your sketches go. We're using a script font in here as well, and it is called Stash. And we are going with Stash Medium.
And what's nice that you have like this nice sketch that's kind of wireframed out is now it's not necessarily about like the creativity of it. It's about kind of the ditch digging. You have the creativity of the blueprint done. Now it's about, okay, now I'm making small choices and just applying that, right? That a lot of times it's like, oh man, this is going to be like a packaging stream. We're going to be designing packaging for 2 hours. That you think about this part, and so much of it is the sketch, is the ideation, and then you get in here, and then this is the part that everyone kind of gravitates to as like the design, but the design has happened. This is just kind of the application, right?
Yep. Yeah, the design happens on paper before I ever get to this. Just kind of what's going on in my head. I know sometimes it's hard when I know Dylan, who's on watching right now, is like I can look at his sketches and I know what font he's thinking about using. Like his
Yes.
sketches are so tight and
Yes.
so amazing. But you know, for me, I'm looking at this and I'm nowhere what font I'm thinking, but I just don't have it on paper, and that's okay.
Yep.
You know, different people do it different ways, but I can look at something like this and actually see the final product.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important thing, is just getting it down, and you might be able to see it, but your client may not. But at least you can say, like, you can talk with your writer and say, I need about this much copy to kind of go here as an intro, because we're going to need a lot of space for this. And, you know, let's put the tagline and we'll run it along the bottom. So yeah, it kind of gives you an idea of how that all gets built out and thought through as far as that goes.
And yeah, like Jeremy said, Dylan is really fantastic designer. His sketches, like you said, are like, you can see if it's the final or if it's like there's more coming. You're like, I think this is the final, and you're like, oh, that's just a sketch. Okay, cool. Like, and it is that like fluctuation in process that like in your brain that's already happening, then but Dylan does it like on paper, to where I like won't do it at all until I'm just going straight into finals. That it is that like there's no wrong way. It's all about that like ideation and having the thought, and then whatever your application is the way that works for you.
Yep, absolutely. So in this situation, because I know this tag is going to have to wrap around on the other side, I need to be thinking about like where this is going to work and where it's going to wrap around to the other side. So this will actually wrap around to this side of the bag on this side. So I need to make sure that, okay, yeah, I made room for it here, but what happens when it shows up over here? The worst thing that would happen is this would come back from the printer and you would find out that you didn't leave room for it. So what I'll do is just kind of take this mocked up tag that I have here, and I'm just gonna kind of like think through like where this would line up on the other side. Even if it's rough, these are going to be hand applied anyways. So I'm just going to create clipping masks, clipping masks here, and a clipping mask here. Oops.
People are asking what if you have a drawing pad, and you just draw on an iPad, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Right,
do you have
now,
a new iPad?
I do. Yeah, I have the 12.9 inch iPad Pro.
Cool. Yeah, so just iPad. You don't need anything fancy. You can draw on a sticky note if you want. I literally have my stickies right next to me, and I draw on these all the time. Or you can draw on a fancy iPad if you want. It really depends on, again, what works for you. New creative, minimum size for business cards, 2 inches by 3.5 inches, our business card size. Random question correct in chat, but there you go.
Yeah, so we're gonna throw our stash script up in the corner up here as well.
Jeremy, question for you from chat. When you're working on packaging, are there regulations and stuff that you have to be aware of sizing of the barcodes, of ingredients, that kind of stuff? Like, how do you know that? Or is that something you run into?
So I rely heavily on the client to get their UPC stuff done, because it's really something they have to do. Like, they have to apply for UPCs. There isn't as much with something like this, but when it comes to food, it's highly regulated, especially alcohol. So when I'm doing beer packaging or any kind of food stuff, yeah, there are tons of rules about that, and that's something that takes a lot. I just did a project for an egg farm earlier this year, and just there's so many conflicting rules as far as like if it's organic, it's one thing. If it's just like, it's crazy. A lot of it has to do with who certifies the product and all that. It's a lot. It's a real lot. So yeah.
And we charge for that extra, right, Jeremy? There's a
you
little
would think.
tick up.
Yeah, you would think. Someday I'll learn my lesson on something like that. But
minimum font size for business card, usually going 9 to 10 point is the smallest that you want to do in print for body copy. 9 to 10 is what I would suggest.
Yep.
This is looking good.
Sounds like sound advice. I'm trying to figure out where this, why this is not, I think it's because, that's why. Cause see, this is where layers can lead you wrong. If you accidentally put something on the wrong layer,
Oh yeah.
It can get a little rough. But so if you use the command F for in front, that's another great way to kind of move something from one layer to the other, is to just copy and then command front, command F to put it in front of whatever, or command B to put it behind whatever happens to be on the layer you want to put it on.
He's just grabbing the copy from over here behind me. I'll turn so you can see it. And that's just copy that we have from a writer that is, we know is going to be applied to the packaging. So we just pasted it in here if you missed that part. And we're just grabbing that and pasting that up there.
Yep. One of the things I love about this font, Stash, is a really beautiful script. And one of the things that's great about it is if you kind of want to do some play around with some of their custom
contextual alternatives,
letters, you can just really pick some nice, pretty.
Ooh.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, so if you don't know, chat, you can use OpenType. You can highlight a letter, and it will show you all the other options of that letter if it has contextual alternatives. And a lot of times, especially with scripts, you can get some really cool stuff. And so look, if you're searching on Adobe Fonts, you can find searching contextual alternatives, or a lot of scripts have them. And I believe it's in the type panel that you can turn on OpenType. You can turn on individual letters, you can turn on fractions, contextual alternatives, all kinds of fun stuff that is hidden away in a lot of fonts.
Yeah.
And yes, about 25 minutes, about 25 minutes to challenge feedback. So submit your stuff in the Discord channel by going to this link right up here, or you can post on Behance using hashtag AI challenge.
So one request I would have for Illustrator, one of the things I love in Adobe InDesign is using tables. It's another thing I didn't use for a really, really long time because I hate spreadsheets, but I love using tables. I don't know if you guys ever use tables in InDesign, but if you haven't yet, I highly recommend it.
Yes.
Especially, I do a lot of conferences and different situations where, like, I have a speaker's headshot and then I have their name and their bio, and then like a snippet about what they're going to be speaking about at their talk. And what's great about it is you can flow it from one text box to another. And if you ever have to remove or pull something from one place, you can just copy that whole section, paste it, and it reflows your whole document. Love using those. So I wish that was one thing I wish Illustrator had. Maybe it will at some point.
Yeah, and you can submit that, and this is for everyone in chat. You can always submit feedback, and there are real, actual people that if you've ever had a crash and you like send the crash report, I've met the person that those go to. He was like, yeah, when you submit that, it ends up in my email. Like, it's an actual real person. It doesn't just go into some like cloud. So if you have an idea or suggestion for something, 100% send it through. And Adobe loves to consider those things, and it does go to actual people.
Yeah. In lieu of not having that, I'm going to pull my copy in. I'll show you a little trick I have. Where are you? Let me make sure I grab this from the right place here. So here's our copy for the front, and we'll get to these icons here in a bit. But for the back, we have the rest of this copy here that, so we've got like what goes above the seal. We know we're going to add that Made in USA badge. And then this is our sizing chart content as well. And some legal stuff that says, don't put this bag over your head.
We need that.
Yes.
Because it does look like a good hat.
It does. It does. So in this situation, I'm just going to pull these right over here. Holding the Option key down when you drag something makes a copy of it. Option Shift, drag, and pulls it, lines it straight up with what you were pulling, pulls it straight across. And then, so we've kind of got our copy here. I'm gonna make it the same as this so I can kind of see what we've got to work with. So this is our copy that goes along the top. I'm gonna make this the stash script as well. Oops.
And yes, Michelle, that is a great idea to have daily creative challenges for InDesign. Let Adobe know. Tweet out and reach out to the Adobe Live team. That could be something that we add. We just added Illustrator daily creative challenges. Those are a thing that are happening right now. And if you want to, shameless plug, I'll be back next week starting on Monday doing the daily creative challenges for 2 weeks. Little insider, this time, last time we went on a design safari, this time we're going to space. We're going to spend 2 weeks going to space, learning the basics of Illustrator through a mission to Mars. So tune in next week on Monday to Friday. Every day, I'll be doing those Illustrator Daily Creative Challenges.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes when it gets quiet like that and there's like a moment, part of me wants to fill it, and then part of me, like, there's like a really like smooth little jazz thing going on in the background, and I'm like, we're just gonna let this vibe for a second. It felt right.
Nice. Yeah, so I'll probably nuance this a little bit, get this type, the rag where I want it and all that. But basically you've got your body type. It's gonna go like towards the top up here with a small headline. And then we'll work on kind of thinking about how we call out this information that needs to go here. So I'm gonna throw our blue background on here.
And it's fun because and it's cool watching the process, because as you've gone, it's looked like, oh, this isn't really going anywhere. This isn't really, okay, all right, it's starting to, okay, cool, it's coming together. It's like, okay, there's like type thrown on the page. Okay, it's getting formatted. All right, now that this box is here, it's starting to feel like, oh, this could actually be a package. And is that your process a lot of times? Like you hate it until you love it suddenly?
I feel like everything goes through an ugly stage at some point.
Yes.
You know, and you just kind of have to push through it. If I gave up every time something went through an ugly stage, I would never finish anything.
Yep.
So
it's like those people in high school that have like the major glow up, that it's like, you're kind of weird looking kid, and then like puberty hit you pretty hard, and then suddenly it's like, wait, you're a model now? Like it's a full progression of a project.
Yeah, exactly. I looked like I was 12 when I graduated high school. So great. So what I was going to say earlier, like in this situation this is where I would love to have a table, because I would basically make each of these tables and then have all these line up. But since I don't have that, what I am going to do is I'm going to put a tab before each one of these, and then a tab here. So tab. If I don't get this right the first time, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. So that's the stuff that's going to go on the bottom of the bag. So what I do is what I want to be able to do is align I'm adding a couple more tabs here. I want to be able to align right justify all the sizes, and then left justify all of the explanations. So we've got the size down here, and then this is like less than 75 grams. So this is where budgies and lovebirds and parrotlets. I'm learning all sorts of stuff about birds through this project. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, it's fun sometimes working on projects that like you just learn things like because like, oh, here's the copy, and you're like reading it to like check it or to set the type, and you're like, I'm learning so much.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select all of this, and I'm going to open my tabs, which is Command-Shift-T for tabs. And I'm going to set my first tab to a right justify. So basically what it just did was it took all of this and right justified it. And then I'm going to add a second tab, and I'm going to left justify it. So now I can kind of control how this moves in and out. The key number here that you got to make sure you're watching is, so I'm just going to make this an even 3/4 of an inch indent. Oops, added one. I don't want to add that one. Oh no, I didn't want to delete my, Oh my gosh.
Mayday,
It's
mayday.
all falling apart. The wheels are coming off.
We got like 15 minutes until, just hold on, Jeremy, you can do it.
Till I start curling up and crying.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So basically this 0.75 is important because you'll see that obviously this copy can't run off the edge of the bag. So I'm gonna have to pull it in like this. Well, now these are wrapping like way down here, which is no good. So what I'll do is go into my paragraph settings and set my left indent to 0.75. And then I want my first line to be a negative 0.75.
This is like the ultimate inside scoop, and this is the stuff that we love here on these streams, is you get like the nitty gritty.
Except for when it's not working.
Except for when it's not working. But then we work through that and we show you that none of us have a smooth process ever.
Right, exactly. So this is 0.75. So what it should be doing is my first line should be indenting to the first tab, which it is, and then my second line, and everything below should go to 0.75. Interesting. Well, I did it earlier, and the result looks a lot more like this.
Oh yes, let's baking show it.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it in here because I'm not sure why it's doing this.
Yep, in the oven for 20 minutes, and then.
That's right. It looks something like this. So you kind of get an idea. It'll automatically pull that back around on the second line. In this situation, you can also just return and do some tabs in as well. But what's really great is when it does that auto return, it'll take care of that. Again, this is something that InDesign does really, really well. I use InDesign a lot for even for packaging and stuff. In this situation, the manufacturer doesn't accept InDesign files either. So.
Yep. A lot of people are freaking out about tabs being in Illustrator. They are in there. Yes, if you're familiar with them in InDesign, they are also in Illustrator, and they are very, very helpful.
Yes, absolutely.
Someone's asking about a harness for turkeys.
Yes, they exist. Can you believe it? A turkey harness.
That's crazy.
Why? I don't know, but if you want one, they can hook you up for sure.
Can you imagine like the power move of like walking down the street with a turkey like on a leash, and you're just like, yeah, this is my turkey, whatever.
You could totally pull that off.
Yes.
If anybody could, it would be Andrew Hochradel.
I would totally have a pet turkey. I want two pets. One, I want a 3-legged dog. And then two, I want like one of those hairless Egyptian Sphinx cats. I think that they're just gorgeous, but I want one with heterochromia, where one of their eyes is blue and one of their eyes is orange, and they're insanely expensive, but they're really cool.
That's very specific.
It is. I'm a very specific person. I think designers should be specific. I don't know. They look like wrinkly old men, though. That is weird. We got about 10 minutes till challenge submission. So again, if you haven't submitted, go ahead and do that. Drop it in the Discord or tag it on Behance, #AI challenge.
I'm switching AirPods so that I don't run out of juice on these. All right. Yeah, so basically, you've got your table in the back now, so you know what size and species, your bird might be. So I'm going to just throw a little thing in here to kind of divide that top section off. And then what I want to do is, now that I'm kind of looking at this, I kind of would like to get some alignment going on here where this column is working here. So otherwise it looks kind of janky. So we'll see what we can do as far as getting that set without going off the edge of the page.
Lined up, yep.
But that's looking pretty good.
And it feels like almost all the elements are here. Now it's just kind of fine tuning. I think we're missing from the sketch like the icons on the front, but other than that, like the elements are here. It's just a matter of like small little tweaks, which is really cool.
Yep, it's getting there.
And that bottom piece is the bottom of the bag, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, that bottom left piece is the bottom of the bag. So we're just going to make this 7 point. Should be plenty big enough. Drop it down here. I'm going to get rid of my hyphenation.
Praise him. Turn that off.
Yeah, where's my paragraph? There we go.
Yes, Kevin. Turkeys can fly for short distances. If you really want to see something crazy, look up a peacock flying. They are gorgeous when they fly.
Wow.
Right? I didn't think they could fly because they're so big. They can totally fly, and they're insane. Like, they look crazy. Ooh, some like soft piano. That was great. It got quiet, and there's like a soft piano chord just rolled in.
I did that on purpose.
Yes. Just want to set the vibes.
That's right. We'll center that up and put some Hebden on here.
Oh yes, Voodoo Val, the turkeys in Sacramento. I relate to that growing up. They were everywhere. We also had peacocks everywhere in Folsom where I lived. And it was great because like in the middle of the night you would hear them. And I hope the baby's not sleeping. I'm going to do, so like peacocks make the greatest call. They go, "Ow!" And it's the greatest thing in the world. It's like, it's one of my favorite sounds. So look that up.
That was startling.
I'm sorry, I did it. And I'm pretty sure that there's a baby sleeping in another room that I probably just woke up.
That was amazing.
I'm gifted. I can call the peacocks to me if I ever need a flock.
America's Got Talent.
Yes.
Stuff there.
What's a flock of peacocks called? You keep going, Jeremy. I'm gonna chase this rabbit trail and find out what a flock of peacocks is called.
So this is another little fun tip that I wasn't aware of for a long time. But if you ever want to center two objects, this is maybe a little more better known one, but a lot of times, like if you select these two and you just hit the align center, they kind of it kind of picks what's in between and moves the two together.
Yep.
But if you know, for instance, that this bottom box, text box, is lined up exactly where you want it, you can, once you've selected the two, just select again on the one that you don't want to move, and then hit align, and it will align it to that object.
That's awesome. Little tips and tricks. For reference, a group of peacocks is called an ostentation of peacocks. Not a flock, an ostentation. It does. I know that flamingos are a flamboyance. A group of flamingos is a flamboyance of flamingos.
All right.
Looking good. So now we just need icons?
We just need some icons. Yeah, absolutely. So basically what I'll do is kind of show you how I go about creating the way I do type on a curve. So I'm going to pull some of these from my assets here. I already know what these are going to be. We've got like lightweight and durable, lovingly designed for comfort, hand welded, fray resistant seams, vibrant color options. So usually I'll sit down and actually talk with the client about like, what are some things that make sense as far as icons for that would go. It would help kind of describe what those are. So this is kind of what we ended up with. We've got like this lightweight and durable, lovingly designed for comfort, freight. This is hand welded. They don't do any stitches because a bird's beak can pick stitches out, but it can't pick the welds out. So all of their stuff is hand welded, which is pretty cool. They've thought about everything with this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just go ahead and make these go into my type and say change case. I'm gonna do these uppercase because nobody likes it when you type upper and lower around a circle. It doesn't typically go well.
It looks weird.
Yeah, and then we'll just go ahead and go with Acumen. And I'm going to pick like, let's see, Acumen semi-bold. Let's try that.
Yes. Simon, can we get a copy of these assets? They are for an actual client, so I don't think so. But a lot of these things that we're talking about, like type on a path, making badges, are things that are covered in the daily creative challenges. So if you want to create stuff like this, you can go into the daily creative challenges and you can build your own stuff, which would be really cool. And also these fonts are on Adobe Fonts. We had a link dropped earlier, so if you want to grab the fonts that we're using as well, you can do that on Adobe Fonts.
Yeah, so basically what I'm gonna do is I want it to say like lightweight at the top and durable below this feather. So the top part's gonna say lightweight, and then below it'll say and durable. So kind of taking my type on path tool and popped it in here. I'm gonna center it like
okay
this.
Oh my god, yeah, you did it without centering it, and my heart like stopped, and I'm like, I don't want to say anything, and then you fixed it. I was like, okay, good, all right.
I got it all under control. But what I like to do with this is sometimes you'll see like if you put you've got all these different alignment options with type on path. So if you go into your type, look at your type on path options, you can like do all these different things where you align it to the baseline, which is the default, or the ascender or the descender. But you'll see that like it doesn't, if you align it one side to the ascender and one side to the descender, you'll notice like here there's some space here, and here the spacing is a little different. So what I always do is switch it to center.
Yep.
And then I'll just duplicate this, and I'll cut my my bottom section off.
And yes, we have about 3 minutes until challenge submissions. So get your submissions in, and we're going to hop into the challenges, and then we'll come back and finish up some of this type on the path and some of these badges, putting them in. And then tomorrow, I believe, we are going to get into applying this into a photorealistic mockup, right, Jeremy?
Yes. Yep. We will do that. So then I've kind of got my two shapes. I'm gonna, I've got my top and my bottom. I'm gonna align those.
A badge.
I'm gonna add some color to it. I'm gonna option right click to add a little bit of space between them. When you do centered, it tends to cram the letters together a little bit. And especially for something that's nice and small like this, you wanna kind of let it breathe a little. So I might bump that up a little bit, go to like a 8 point.
Light as a feather. Did you ever do the thing in like a sleepover or something where it was like stiff as a board, light as a feather, and you would like lay down and your friends would like lift you up, and there was some like weird, like whatever it was? That's what that just reminded me of. I hadn't thought about it in years.
There you go. So I've already baked all of these, but I wanted to kind of show you how I go about setting my type around something like this to create these badges. So
cool. Yeah, let's pull them out of the oven.
All right, I'll grab those over here.
Dylan Menges wants a little singing because someone's talking about the final countdown being 2 minutes. So as we go, I'll just give you a little background. Jeremy, you keep working.
All right. I'm seeing Job. Didn't Job?
Oh yes, from Arrested Development.
Play that? Yeah, whenever he would come out to do a magic show.
Yes, absolutely. It's crazy. Like, it feels so like placeholdery until everything is there, and you're like, oh, here's the sketch, here are the things. It's locked in. That like you just don't see it until things are there, like the type is refined and everything just falls right into place. Yeah,
so at this point I will typically go through and just make sure that like in my the fonts are where I want them. I'll play with this a little bit. There's some spacing issues. I might let that out a little bit, give it a little bit, make that font a little like a half point bigger or something to fill that space a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's it's pretty close to being where it needs to be.
Yep. And tomorrow we'll be taking this into Photoshop to do a photorealistic mock-up, which will be really cool and really fun. So join us back, same time, same place. Tomorrow we're going to hop over into Discord and start looking at some of your daily creative challenges. And yes, Dylan, I had to sing that very quietly. There is a baby sleeping on the wall. Well, not on the wall, on the other side of the wall right here. So anytime I sing on stream, I have to do it like into the mic very quietly. Let's hop over here. Hello, here's us. La Croix. Having a nice little drink there. And let's hop into Discord. If you want to scroll all the way down to the bottom, Jeremy, and look at the most recent challenges, we'll be starting at the bottom there and kind of calling out. Just as a reminder to all of you, you can get involved in these challenges by going right here to the daily creative challenges. This is a place where you can sign up, get information, get the source files, get all of that going, and submit your learning. We are learning together. There's no wrong answers here. We're just going to give feedback. So let's go ahead and hop in there. Jeremy, where would you like to start?
I really love the colors on the float, the three-dimensional type that are going on there. That like peach and yellow and blue. Those are speaking to me.
Cool. So this is by Lady Alexandra. I believe the challenge was doing isometric type, I believe. Do you have any thoughts or feedback on how we could make this better, Jeremy?
I really love it. I feel like the background might be a little distracting as far as like maybe it could throw it those polka dots as into one of the three colors and kind of limit the color palette a little bit more. If you want to have them there, but I think overall it's looking good.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that pulling the isometric depth up a little bit will give you the cutout of the O. I think having it that deep, the cutout of the O and the A, the terminals, look like they're just like filled. And so pulling it a little less deep. And then I also would put those dots, if you're going to have them, put them on the same isometric grid. Put them on the same tilt. So it looks like it's maybe a flat surface, I think would be a good idea, but that's really great.
Yeah. There's designers that feel like you have to have black in everything you do, like have some black color in everything you do. And then there are those that don't. And I tend to just not put black in my color palette on a lot of things.
I do not put color in my black palette. So we are,
there you go.
We are very different designers. Yes. Oh, hey, Mark Bowden's here.
That spectrum.
Hey, Mark. What's up, dude? Mark is in Bermuda. All right, let's look at one from today, the landscape. Creating a flat landscape using simple shapes. The one right above that by our friend JoFlo723. Any thoughts, Jeremy?
Yeah, I like where this is going. The one thing I would say is if you can avoid using thin lines to draw around your shapes, it makes the drawing a lot more compelling. So where you've got your palm leaves on your palm tree, maybe you vary the colors of those a little bit. So like every other of those has like maybe a slightly darker green to kind of separate them. Something that I remember a teacher telling me when I was younger is like objects don't have outlines.
Yep.
So if you look at things in real life, there are no outlines. So like your dolphin too, like that would be great just to have him without the outline, he'd hold up just fine. So that would be my only recommendation there, but it's looking like a good composition.
Yeah, and I think literally I'm going to contradict myself because I just said that I hate using color. If you're going to use outlines like that, I would do an outline and align it to the inside and then just do a darker shade. Or if you just want to use blacks, do a gray and multiply. And that will create a variant on that edge. So it gives you a little bit of variance of color without having that harsh black outline. But I agree. Yeah, the composition of this is going really good. I especially love what you're doing with the clouds. I love the like circle roundy clouds. That's my favorite like way of building clouds. I would make the left one a little more wonky. The right one's a little more all over the place, and the left one feels like it's all the same. So I just shift those a little bit, have a little variation.
Yep. Make them look a little more like natural. from that perspective.
Yes. All right. Let's... Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say a good example. If you look at the one, someone's catching up and it says challenge 1 above it. But where they're it's by Dawn Marie, where they're varying the greens without having to do a line between them to separate them.
Yep.
Seems to work really, really well. I think you could use that same technique to do the
palm trees,
the leaves on your tree.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. And I don't think you need the outlines on this either.
Yeah.
All right, let's go up to Anthony _0, the double A. He created the landscape, and the landscape is what a lot of us are seeing instead of landscapes right now, home offices. His home office, working from home inside. Let's give him some thoughts. He says that he's struggling a little bit with it, so maybe we can help you here, and that's what being in the Discord is for.
Yeah. I wish there was a little more detail as to what exactly he felt like he was struggling with. But I think,
yeah. And if you're in chat, if you're in chat, let us know what you're having issue with, and we can help you address it.
Yeah, that'd be great. I personally love illustrations that are based on very simple shapes. I think he's doing a really nice job with it there. The trick is making simple shapes, but not making it look too simplistic.
Yep.
And so I think even just by doing some things, like I look at that below the lamp, for instance, you've got the inner side of that desk piece that's coming down. I'd love to see even like an angled drop shadow that kind of maybe touches that top left corner and kind of angles down to the right.
I agree.
And that would just by making that a darker blue, adding just some simple little elements of drop shadows, even an oval below that wastebasket on the ground, without having to add any feathering or shading or anything like that. Just adding those little shapes in there just will put the objects in like a sense of place.
Yep. And if you think about it in sense of values, again, using grays and multiplying on top is great to think about how dark it is. That it is 10% darker with a shadow. Put that gray on top and multiply it, and we'll make it 10% darker of that shade of blue. And that's a great way to work with shadows and highlights without having to pick a whole bunch of colors. That you're staying in the same zone, just augmenting the value of it. My feedback is on the lamp and the waste bucket. The lamp looks like the right side is about 10 pixels in to the left and the right, so it's not symmetrical. And the same with the wastebasket. The bottom right is probably like 5 pixels off. Just move those so it's perfectly symmetrical on all sides, and those angles on either side match up. Are the colors working? That's what Anthony's wondering. I think the colors are vibrating a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, they're definitely bold. I think what I would want to know from your perspective, Anthony, is what do you want to be the focus of the drawing, like the illustration? Do you want the wall to be the focus of the illustration, or do you want the desk and that stuff to be the focus illustration? Typically, warm colors tend to jump to the front and cool colors tend to recede. And what's happening right now is you've flipped them the other way. So the wall behind is wanting to like jump to the front of your blue desk because it's a cool color. So that's probably why you're getting some of that confusion there. So maybe it's a matter of kind of toning down your background a little bit and adding more color to what you want to focus on.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, and even exploring taking this into like a more monochromatic, to where the wall is maybe a lighter powder blue, and it becomes like this, the thing is blue that is like standing out or whatever. Of even limiting color palette a lot of times helps to deter from having an odd color palette.
Yep.
Or do it all in black. Let's do one here. Since Jeremy is the master of animals of simple shapes, let's do one right above by Suja. This is Simple Shapes, creating a little cat. Look at his little nose.
He's super cute.
Yeah.
I like him.
And I believe that it's freeform gradients.
Mesh for this?
Yeah.
Okay, to get the color, that's the mesh tool?
It looks like it. I think it could. Yeah, it looks like it's a mesh. It's not freeform gradients, I don't think. Yeah, it has to be meshes, yeah.
Yeah, it looks good. I would, I think it looks really nice. I would probably just maybe think a little bit about the proportions, the tail this would be super cute if that tail kind of was the size of a cat's tail and kind of came up around and maybe hooked over the top of him and hooked back over. So it kind of filled that space around right above his back and kind of to the right of his head. That would be really, really cute. Kind of fill that space nicely. And then I would just give the eyes and that nose a little bit more punch, a little bit more definition from the background so that they pop a little bit more.
I agree. Yeah. And I think if you're building with simple shapes, it looks like you can identify the triangles for the ears. There's an oval with a rectangle for the face, and the body is a rounded rectangle. But on the top right here, it gets a little bit wonky. If you're going to do that, I would just use a semicircle, like half of a circle there, so that it stays consistent on that curve. And then even with the tail, try looking at using combinations of circles or using the spiral tool. If you haven't used it, check out the spiral tool in Illustrator. It's a great way to do tails and little swirlies. All right, let's do another one from today's challenge. It's a start from Memorable Mink. I need to do that as a warm-up before I go on streams. Memorable Mink. It's a good one. I'm sorry, guys. We're this. Yeah. If you ever have tuned into a stream with me, the last 20 minutes, like we're starting to hit that ride. All right. Thoughts on this one?
I love this. I think this looks really, really great.
It's a vibe.
This goes back to what Andrew was saying earlier, as far as multiplying that line to add that definition. If you're gonna add a line to define a shape, it's always good to do something that's like a shade of the shape. I like the limited color palette you're using on this. All in all, I think it's really pretty.
I do too. I don't have too much feedback. Like, it looks good. The only thing that I see is the waves in proportion to the size of the grass. I could do without the waves. Like, I don't need them there. Could do more grass at the bottom. Could be really fun.
Yep.
But yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, and maybe the waves actually would make more sense on the other side of the hill or on the other side of the beach.
Yes.
Rather than in front. So maybe it's a matter of moving those to the back and then bringing them up. There's a design rule called the rule of thirds. So if you would kind of divide this into 3 strips vertically and 3 strips horizontally, you could set those waves right at the top of that bottom third, and it would look really, really nice. It kind of go above that baseline arch, and it would go below that bottom cloud, and it would look really, really nice to fill that bottom third. You're already doing that well by putting the palm leaves are right at that top third too. So
I agree. Yep. Let's do a few more and then we'll hop back in. Actually, let's not hop back in. Let's do a few more, and then tomorrow we will pick back up on the mockups with the packaging. Let's look at KTU, the plane that's happening a couple up, and talk about, this is the day 7 challenge, which is make a landscape out of simple shapes.
That's cool. Looks like she shot this right out of, took a picture of this right out of a recent flight. I think this looks really, really nice.
Yeah.
The perspective looks nice on the wing. It's pretty. I would say there's a design, that one thing you might be running into a little bit is you have some tangents going on, maybe at the edge of the wing where the tip of the wing is kind of hitting the cloud. I almost feel like the wing should either overlap it more or not overlap it at all. So maybe it's a matter of kind of taking out that top left cloud and bringing that larger cloud cluster in a little bit. So there's some tension right where that wing is hitting, right kind of at the tip of that cloud there. It would be nice if it kind of either went into it deeper or didn't touch it at all.
Yep, and I agree. And I think if you're going to do the shape, you might as well just do it vertical and do the shape of an airplane window. That's kind of that circled square. It's already familiar to that, so I would just do it to kind of lean into that. And I think that the cool thing is seeing your simple shapes here and how you've used them at perspective. That you have these little rectangles that are following that isometric that was from the day 6 challenge, or day 6 challenge? Yeah, day 6 challenge, I think, into this one. I think that's a really cool carryover for the isometric simple shapes.
Yep, I agree.
Brianne, what city do we live stream out of? All around the world. Voodoo Val is in Sacramento. I'm down in Southern California. We are everywhere. Streaming from our homes. You think that there's a green screen here. There is. It's just a dirty bedroom. All right, let's look up above at CJ DeMille, another animal with simple shapes. I want to do a few of these just because Jeremy really is the master of these. So let's talk about it.
Super cute. I like it. I like that you have kind of kept it to very limited, simple shapes. My only critique on this one would be those eyes probably could come down and be a little bit smaller. I kind of like them a little spread apart like that. It's super cute, but even if they came down to be about 30-40% of the size and then just kind of moved down a little bit, it would kind of right now it's drawing my eyes a little too much to the eyes and not the rest of the illustration.
Yep. I agree. And it looks like this is such a technical thing. On your export, it looks like you exported a PNG, and it looks like the gray that you're using is not a gray, it's black with opacity taken down. So make sure that is a full color, that when you export it, that PNG won't have the see-throughness. If you can see, I don't know how much you can see it on your screen, but it is PNG that is bleeding through, so you can see the back, what's behind it. That's a technical thing. For design, I would love to see little triangles as little teeth, and then little ovals, like parts of ovals as whiskers. Like, I'd love to see some little teeth and whiskers on this guy, because he is so cute.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the shade is that's going on here. If it's supposed to be a highlight, typically a highlight would be like on his back, or higher on the cat itself. It may be that it's a black cat that has a gray spot on its backside, and if that's what you're going for, that's great. But if it's a highlight, try to keep the highlights kind of more natural to the top side of the character, so that you can see where the light source is coming from. Yep.
I'm taking a look. Let's see. I think, Keith, let me know if this is yours. I'm pulling this up. Jeremy, how can I get this to you? I don't know if I can. I'll throw feedback and then we'll keep going. Keith, this is yours. It's a little cat with bat wings. Your simple shapes are really great. How you're doing the cutouts on the wings are fantastic. I would work on the body a little bit. It looks like the neck is a little long to me. And then if you're going to have it standing on this post, I would work on maybe having claws that are pulling in to this post. But overall, it looks great. Hopefully that was yours. And then we're going to hop back in. And yes, if you ever have a request and you're in chat, we love talking about things that are in chat because we can interact with the people live. Cool. Let's hop.
I actually like that one a lot. I'm able to see it.
Oh yeah, he's seeing it on the monitor. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like that one a lot. It's nice.
So let's hop up one more time, a little bit higher to Trandal, with the giraffe. And since we're doing animal noises, I learned that giraffes like don't have a purr or like a roar or anything. They make like almost a goat noise. It's like, and it's like not as like aggressive as a goat. It's much more like breathy. But I was listening on YouTube and I was like, that's the noise that they make. So
you need to do a one-man stage show of just animal sounds.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's in your future.
I would love to.
Yeah. I like this guy. This is super cute. I like that you're using the simple shapes for it. I especially like the face. I think you've done a really, really nice job of kind of capturing the way that the eyes fit inside. They've kind of got those big eyebrows that kind of roll out over top of it. And I like the symmetry of the face mixed with the asymmetrical body. So it looks really, really nice. I think you've done a nice job with it.
Yep, I agree. I love the ears. I love the symmetry of the head is really good. I could do without the blur on the spots. I actually like everything else is very sharp. And so I could do with those being sharp, and that would be fine. I love the tail. The little diamond is perfect for the tail of a giraffe. And then it looks like you have a spot or a gradient going into the second hoof that I lose the black hoof. So I would just make sure that it is that yellow color so that I can see where that black hoof is of this shape. Yeah, this is looking good. All right, cool. We're going to hop back over to Jeremy's screen real quick. Jeremy, do you want to give us a quick rundown of what we did today and what we can look forward to tomorrow?
Yeah, so basically we went through and talked about logo, kind of the process I went through to present and come up with the logo concept. And then today we went through and, later we went through and took the copy that came from the writer for the content and kind of married it to the basic thumbnail sketch of this to kind of pull this together, set up our layers, and yeah, got a lot done today.
Yep.
So,
and tomorrow, where are we going to take this?
Yeah, so tomorrow, one of the things that I do a lot of times is it's as much for me as it is for the clients. But I have a photo mock-up of this layout that fits this bag. So I'm going to kind of show you how to put it into a photo mock-up, and then we will kind of look at it there. A lot of times I'll see something in a photo mock-up and realize that there's adjustments that need to be made once I see it in context. So we'll show you how to use Photoshop to use your layout in a photo mockup. And then after that, we are gonna explore how to do a similar kind of build out, but with corrugated boxes. And there's a totally different set of rules that come with corrugated boxes. This is a full color print job. Yep. The corrugated box is a 2-color spot. So it's
can you show us the die line for that, just so people can get a little taste of how crazy it gets? It gets absolutely bonkers when you get into working with some of this complex stuff, and we'll get into it tomorrow, but I want to give you a little sneak peek, little taste, and while he pulls that up, I'm going to plug some stuff just because I'm not afraid of a hard sell. If you want to hang out, I will be live every day for the next 3 weeks with Adobe. And so you can hang out tonight. I will be going live. I will be pitching an actual concept of a brand that I'm working on to the actual client live, getting feedback, getting their first impressions, and then doing the feedback. Tonight at 8 p.m., I will be doing ASMR design with Logan Farber at 6 p.m. And then live again with Jeremy tomorrow, same time, same place. And Friday, 12 p.m., we will be doing Adobe Office Hours where we do portfolio reviews. And you can find all of these links and all the places to go at hoch.live, hoch.live. There are links there for you and Illustrator Daily Creative Challenges next week. All right, Jeremy, show us this crazy die that you're about to work with.
Yeah, so this is the die that we're working with from the box manufacturer. You can kind of see some of my sketches on the left, how this thing works and functions. And then I don't know if you can pop over to me here on the screen, but basically this is the actual, well, actually, no, this is it. This is a mock-up that I got from the box manufacturer of the product, the way that it will work and the way that it will be shipped. So kind of gives you an idea of how the different panels work. Some trouble that we ran into as far as print stipulations on printing on corrugated that we were able to overcome to be able to do it this way. So this is what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Yep.
So that'll be great. So we're definitely stepping up from a bag that is, a bag that we can put on photo mockups to something that's like big question mark. Let's figure it out. And so tomorrow we figure it out. Jeremy, one last time, where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, slagledesign.com is the best place. It's got all of my social media stuff, links on that homepage there. So.
Yep, and all these links floating above my head. You can follow Jeremy, check it out. And coming up next, we have, let's see, Howard Pinsky. Hi, Howard. I know that he is in the back end of the monitor watching this, so hello, friend. And then we have Kyle T. Webster, one of the greatest people in the Adobe family. I love Kyle. His work is amazing, and he does a lot for the community, so he's super cool. And Voodoo Val, happening at 3 o'clock, is hosting Too Senseless and doing a design off. That's really fun to watch. I've watched a couple of those, so check those out. Voodoo Val is in chat. Looking forward to watching that. Hi, Val. Cool. And I think that's going to be it for today. Jeremy, would you like to give us a sign off for the day?
Yeah, thanks for coming. This has been super fun. Made it a lot less nervous than I thought it was going to be. So my first time doing this, and I really appreciate you guys showing up.
Yeah, really
Thanks.
fun. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Hang out and chat, make a new friend, and be kind to everyone. We'll see you guys later.
See ya.